Okay, here's another example on how to graph a log function. If I needed to graph this mess, it's kind of hard to just go about putting inputs in there and then plotting points. So I look at the base, it's a base 2. So then I think about the function as this, f of x equals just the function log base 2 of x. So I think about that as the function I want to graph. And then I say, okay, well, if that's the log function I want to graph, and I want to shift it using this information and transform it, then what's the inverse of that? Well, it's an exponential, right? What's the base? 2. The base is 2. So really, I graph this guy. I create some x, y values. I graph this one first, so choose some positive and negatives. Negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, maybe, right? If I put negative 1 in here, I get a half. 0, 1, 1 in there, 2 the first is 2, 2 in there is 4, and 3 in there is 8. So the reason why I do that is because these guys are inverses. Now what that means is these are the x and y's for the exponential, but these are the x and y's for the log. All I do is I switch them around. That's what it means to be an inverse. That the domain and range are swapped. Okay? Now this is the log graph. See how easy that was? Now I graphed that guy. So here they are graphed together. Okay. Got all the same points. Here's my exponential, right? I do this one first. Then I take and I swap those inputs and outputs and then graph this one in the red. So this is the log graph right here of base 2. So that was pretty easy, and I need some points to graph the other one. So I start with those points now from the log graph. Okay, start with those points, and I do exactly what it's telling me to do. It's telling me to shift which way here? To the right 4. Take every point, move it to the right 4, and then now that point's going to start to come in output, so that's the x shift. And then once you're in the output mode, then you multiply each of your outputs that you have by negative 3. Okay, so it's making them negative that are positive, and then vertically stretching them. Okay, so times by negative 3 on the y value. Okay, this is the x moved to the right. So let's do that. Take each of our x values right here, the 4, the 8, the 2, and the half, and we basically move them to the right 4 units. So some of them are easier than the others. This one's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That one goes there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I should also move this vertical asymptote, right? So let's move that in blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. Okay? Just so I know where that's at. That's the vertical asymptote, okay? Now so far, I have this. I have this graph right here in red. Nice and light. It looks like that. That's not what I want though. That's the graph of this one here, y equals log base 2 of x minus 4. Okay? I need to now multiply all the outputs by negative 3, right? Okay? Alright, well, I can use the same outputs because they're just straight across here. So this is a 3. So that 3 here should be a multiplied by negative 3 because it flips it over, negative 9, right? So now this should go down to negative 9. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So right there. Let's make it green. I think that was right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay. Then this one here is at 2, right? So it should become negative 6. 2, 4, 6. Alright, this one here is 1, so it should become negative 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. This is right where it's 0, right? So it goes right through that point right there, because 0 is the y value, okay? And this one is negative 1, right? That's what this is, negative 1. So now it becomes positive 3. 1, 2, 3, right there. Alright, so basically what the negative does is it flips this part over this way, this part up that way, right? And what the 3 does is it stretches it out also. Not only does it flip this over to just here, Oops, I had that one off. It's right here, isn't it? Okay. Not only does it flip it over to 3 here, but it stretches it out by a factor of 3. Okay, let me erase that point. So then I connect the dots. I go from here, make it a nice curve, and remember it's going to get closer and closer and closer to that line, right? Not go over it, but closer and closer, and then this way. Looks like just like that. So flipped over, stretched out. And that's how I would graph this thing. And so these ones would be all lightly drawn in, right? I'd keep the blue line in there with a dotted line because that's a vertical asymptote, but the other lines would be lightly drawn in, and I could either erase them or something and then indicate this is my answer. So here is my answer in green, right? Okay, hope that helps.